Good. Well, good afternoon, guys, on our Tuesday this week. How are we? How are you guys doing? How's life out there? Here, life is still kind of normal for now. Just completed week 2 of the happiness strategy last night with, 50 people going through the course right now. And we talked about value, and that actually inspired today's class. Today's training for y'all, which is about, what if codependency was about your needs? So before we get that started, I need to share this out to the community. And if you're new to me, well, I'm Marshall Burtcher, and I help codependents discover happiness after their codependency. And I do that by reconnecting them to their innate value, their true voice, and their genuine vision for their well-being. So let me get this shared out to the community. The community is a place where you can find shelter, guidance, support, people who actually believe you, that have been or are going through the same experience you have, of realizing that the people you've been dealing with have been using you, that you've been dealing with people who have gaslit you, made you feel crazy, that have put into question your emotional legitimacy, the validity of your needs, your wants, your feelings, your boundaries, your experiences, things like that. You're not alone in that, and you find great company, support, love, and guidance here because we've got your back there. And so you're not alone in that journey anymore. So you can do that. The link is above if you're on Facebook, and if you're on YouTube, it's below in the description. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'm happy to have you as part of my YouTube and Facebook community, guys. So, all right, so today, what if codependency is all about your needs? Now, I've been doing some interviews lately and talking with some clinical therapists, been talking with people who have been dealing with codependency or dealing with trauma and things like that, and they are frequently, they bring me on their show and ask me that question, well, what's your take on codependency? My take is that codependency is a survival strategy for being loved neglected, having our needs, wants, our feelings, our person neglected. And that neglect happens in a variety of ways. The dominant experience that most of y'all that work with me have had is going through the narcissistic abuse cycle, or the consumer supply relationship, where you're seduced, then you're abused, and then you're discarded repeatedly over and over and over. And in that is this functional neglect about your needs. And so codependency is this set of behaviors and beliefs and points of view that we develop in reaction to that cycle of being seduced, abused, and discarded in order to get our needs met. Okay? So if I'm people-pleasing, I'm really looking for acceptance and understanding. I'm looking to be included. If I'm fixing, I'm looking to be valued and appreciated. If I'm controlling, I'm looking for safety and connection. See how this works? There are 10 core needs that we all have, and those 10 core needs are displayed by a variety of skills and behaviors that we choose. Codependency is a subset of skills and behaviors that we use to meet those needs. And then self-advocacy has its own subsets, such as directly asking, learning how to receive, to tolerate vulnerability, to be received, to build safe trust so that in that container of trust, needs, wants, feelings are valued and experiences are valued. This is what codependency is trying to accomplish for us, is to get those needs met. The primacy of being valued and loved for who we are, being cherished for what we be, and for being nurtured, appreciated, to have time, to be enjoyed, right? To have be given time and space with that individual, to have playtime, to have emotional, physical shelter. These are the needs. I will link in the comments below the 10 core needs list so that you can see what those are and be able to relate to them. It's a really important component here to codependency, because if we look at codependency as a survival strategy rather than a disease or an identity or an addiction, or immaturity, that seems to be a theme coming up from a lot of people I've talked to. It's like, this is immaturity. I'm like, no, it's not. It's a survival strategy. So if we look at codependency from that skill set rather than who we are, then it becomes a lot easier to integrate and evolve into more of a self-advocate, because that's skill level, that's skills too. Directly asking, being vulnerable, being clear on what you want, saying yes and no, understanding your values so you understand what your boundaries are, standing up for yourself, leaving toxic situations or people, knowing your limits and responding to them appropriately, things like that. Self-advocacy is where we start to shine and to inhabit our body, to inhabit our beingness, and to share and communicate that with those of us in our lives. And we can have more reciprocal, loving, connected relationships rather than the transactional, benefit-centered relationships that we're used to thanks to narcissistic abuse cycles. So, guys, fundamentally, that's the key here, and that's what I drive home in the happiness strategy and in my other system, the Rapid Heal, is that we're really working to try to get our needs met. So if we take codependency from that point of view, there's a lot we can start to let go of, like shame. Like, it's not necessarily shameful to be codependent when we understand where we were coming from. It's certainly not effective. Codependency, especially in a healthy relationship, is actually quite toxic, because it undermines trust, it undermines intimacy, it undermines vulnerability, and creates pain and dysfunction. But as a survival strategy, it got you to where you are today. Hi, Michelle. And now it's giving you that opportunity now in order to heal so that you can adopt that self-advocacy and move forward in your well-being and in getting your needs met with healthy people. Because again, and this is one thing codependents often do, is they're like, okay, I'll get healthier and then my existing relationships will change. Not necessarily. A lot of times those existing relationships will end because they're actually part of the problem. They are dysfunctional or toxic to the degree that the other person isn't willing to change or own their role in it, and so it's time to move on. Now, if they're willing to own their behavior and they're willing to empathize and they're willing to do their work, then it's worth a shot. It's worth putting some time and effort into that. But if they're not willing to do that, then you've got some decisions to look at and understand what's best for your well-being there. So when we look at codependency as, hey, I'm trying to get my needs met, it becomes also a nice little like filter, a way to troubleshoot ourselves. So if I'm feeling this impulse to please, then I know what I need. I need connection. I need to feel like I belong. So what other ways can I accomplish connection and a sense of belonging? And maybe I could invite somebody out to go do something if we weren't in this COVID situation. Maybe I could connect with them and we could just talk and play. Maybe I could ask them, well, basically we're going to be asking them something because we want to build consent, but it could be play, it could be support, it could be contribution, things like that. And I'm a big fan of play in this arena because a lot of times codependents feel valuable by support. They really focus on the support element, like, hey, how can I support you? How I've got your back, things like that. And that's actually fairly heavy on relationships. But if we focus on play, we start to rediscover ourselves and we start to actually nurture our needs at a pretty deep level, because play is a vulnerable, safe discovery zone where you get to have some fun, helps regulate your nervous system, regulate your mind and your body. It helps you be you more. And so that leads to feeling nurtured and accepted and valued and having time and attention and availability and rest and stuff like that. So play is a really powerful, like, super food for emotional nourishment kind of thing. So, yes. So guys, today take for a moment and think about or explore the point of view that maybe codependency is really about meeting your needs. And you can let go of any shame, any guilt, any kind of self-incrimination that you might have in response to that, to having dealt with codependency in your life. Because really, when we shed codependency, we become healthier, right? That's the goal. But it's becoming healthier to ourselves, not just to others. When we realize that our feelings, our needs, our wants, our experiences are legitimate, they're precious, they're valuable, and they're valuable to us, then a lot of our anxiety, our depression, our confusion alleviates. It leaves, because now we don't have this internal conflict anymore between who we are and what we're really experiencing and what we think we should be, or how we got to fix ourselves. When we resolve that, we get more connected with our innate value, this background essence of legitimacy and validity, and typically it's felt like a sense of joy or peace there. This happens when we shift our point of view about codependency from an identity, a disease, a flaw in who we are, to something like, oh, this is how I survive neglect. This is how I've been trying to get my needs met. So how can I get my needs met in a way that would promote my well-being and happiness, and theirs too, right? Connection, reciprocation, contribution, things like that. So I want you to think about that. I've said so a lot this live stream here. And there we are again. But I appreciate you guys. Think about this. This is a great way to start reframing your relationship to codependency, so it can open you up to becoming more of who you are, getting you more in contact with that value, voice, and vision that you truly be, and alleviate any shame, guilt, fear, or fatigue that might be involved in that. Okay, guys? Appreciate you. Be safe. Let me know what you got out of today's training in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, guys. Bye-bye.